Let's take a look at a law called the Law of Responsibility. Now, what the Law of Responsibility does in boundaries is it draws a line between what we are responsible for and what we are not responsible for, but responsible to. So it's the law of responsibility for and responsibility to. Now, here's the issue. We basically are responsible for ourselves. You know why? Because you're the only one that you can control. And we're responsible for our own behavior. We're responsible for a bunch of stuff in this whole list that's called us. Like, we're responsible for our own emotions, our feelings. We're responsible for our own attitudes. We're responsible for our own behaviors and choices. We're responsible for our own limits and where we draw the line or don't. We're responsible for our own thoughts and our thinking, our talents, our values, our desires, and the things that we love. See, all of that lives in my heart, mind, and soul and strength. And I've got to take responsibility to make sure those things are working well. Now, here's the deal. Let's say you're in a relationship, and you're in a relationship with someone who's not taking responsibility for their own set of treasures. If they're not taking responsibility for their feelings and they're frustrated and they're not regulating those, what do? They get out of control and they start screaming at you, right? And so what you can begin to do is start to feel responsible for keeping somebody else happy. And then you start to feel responsible for them. Or let's say they're out of control with a behavior like a substance, or they're chronically late to work, or they don't turn in their homework, or they don't turn in their projects, and they're out of control in some way. Well, what do? You start to kind of like feel like, oh, I got to help them and I got to make sure we get this. So you start doing their work for them, okay? Which ultimately you can't do because now you're doing two jobs and the whole thing begins to suffer. So really, you can't control whether somebody's going to use drugs. You can't control whether somebody's going to be abusive or not. You can't control whether somebody's going to be critical. You can't control whether somebody has rage outbursts or keeps blaming you for problems of their own. You can't control that. So you're not responsible for that. Here's what you are responsible for. You're responsible for how you respond to it, and you're responsible to them to give them the most loving and honest and growth possibility response that you can. See, if we love somebody and they're on drugs, for example, you can't get them to quit, but to be responsible to them, first of all, you take responsibility for the ways it's affecting you. And you take responsibility for not letting it get to you, whether that means you got to move out or you got to go in another room or you got to do something, but you take control of yourself. And then to be responsible to them, you go to them and say, you know what, I can't control whether or not you do this, but I made a decision, I'm not going to be exposed to it, and I want a relationship with you, and I want to help you. And the most responsible or most loving thing I can do, first of all, is to tell you that this really is an issue. And it's not good for our relationship, and I want you to do something about it. And I'll even help you. You know, I can't treat you, but I can call some people and take you there. Or I can help you find some resources. But you're going to be the one that has to get in control of this area of your life. I can help you and be responsible to help you, but I can't control it.